Libras, welcome to your weekly Sidereal Astrology forecast. This is for October 10th through the 16th of 2016. I'm Athen, and this channel is about using the real constellations in the sky, known as Sidereal Astrology. If you are new to the channel, be sure to check out the link down below because the signs are different. All right, so Libras, this week we have a lot going on, astrologically speaking. We've got a full moon taking place at the week's end, Saturday and Sunday. So this is, first of all, a sort of status check as we approach this second half of the week involving your sixth house. And this is the house of your work. It's the house of your routine. It's the house of your everyday experiences, whatever it is you do on a daily level. So it's a great time to do this status check to evaluate this area, especially over the weekend, see what's working, what's not. Continue to cultivate what is working and let go of what isn't working in this area. And it might be more internal in that sense. So you can have good work, good craft. You can have good time management, energy management, whatever it is here that you could be working on with your personal and perhaps interpersonal, such as through your works, development. Okay. Now this full moon is going to be conjoining up to Uranus. So this has been emphasizing the importance of having freedom in your everyday experiences, freedom in your work, or have it be more of an expression of who you truly are. So it's a good time to reflect on that as well. Maybe liberate yourself here. Again, if there's some things that you feel might be limiting you, preventing you from having more freedom in your work and daily experiences, then it's a great time to consider those things and possibly implement those things in your life during the full moon. Because roughly 6 months ago, you did have a new beginning here. So if you think back, maybe there was something new that came into the forefront with the work, with the routine, whatever it was. And now it's a great time to see what's working and continue to cultivate those positive things there. All right, and this is also in the context that this is a very spiritual time for you, a time of the year at least, and even especially with Jupiter in your 12th house, emphasizing that it's still an excellent week to be perhaps working a bit behind the scenes. Okay, the sun's here, you can be gaining energy through that. Getting some alone time, right? Understanding more about yourself spiritually and psychologically, going through all the layers. In other words, being, connecting to your beingness and seeing what arises. Because oftentimes, as we do that, things like fears arise, traumas, anxieties, things like this. And that's why the 12th house can be a challenging house to work with. But if we're open to working on our spiritual development, working with that beingness, then it's an excellent time to do these things, and you can find a lot of positive energy for that, especially with Jupiter in the 12th house. It's helping you see the potentials there and perhaps helping you see things like synchronicity, wisdom, intuition could be certainly heightened, stuff like that. Okay, so the Jupiter will be emphasized actually this first half of the week, which does have the easier aspects. Mercury will be going over Jupiter, again, helping you see those possibilities and potentials with your spirituality or your beingness or working behind the scenes, giving, compassion, understanding. These are great qualities to develop at this time. Venus will be trining up to Chiron, so you could be feeling maybe healed and rejuvenated as a result of all this, with your ruler trining up to Chiron. And this actually has been a time where you are perhaps pursuing goals, perhaps pursuing your intentions right now, your self-image, maybe feeling good, looking good. Maybe relationships are emphasized with Venus in your sign. So that could be a healing energy. So it's a bit of both, although things are certainly moving forward for you. It is a good time to get that alone time. All right, so that's the first half. Also, Mars will be sextiling Neptune, which is nice considering this 12th house activity in the sense that you could perhaps approach things in a bit more receptive way, right? In the current of life, find that current of life, and you'll find that maybe you do get quite a bit done. Through that more receptive approach to things. And that might have to do with your communication. You've been perhaps more motivated lately to either learn, to maybe do some reading or some writing or some exchanging or sharing with others or getting in contact with your siblings or your peers or your community. So there's great motivation to do that. All right, and I think it's a great week to do that with some considerations I'll talk about here in a minute. But this first half, certainly easy going there with the mental energy and communicative energy that can be perhaps enjoyable or motivating. All right, so let's look at the second half with these considerations. This is going to be particularly involving Mercury, who's going to be squaring up to that Mars and squaring up to Pluto. So the second half, I think it's good to give a bit of space. that's already the case for you with the 12th house. But with Mars, sometimes we can be a bit rash. We can want things. We can really get into that aggressive, overly assertive manner of trying to get something, trying to do something, but it's just not flowing. Okay, the second half. First half is, second half, maybe not so much. So giving it a bit of space, right? A step back. Again, working on yourself spiritually and your spiritual development. Also, too, bringing extra attention to the communication, to the correspondence, which is the third house. And in that way, then it can become very constructive, because Mars and Pluto do bring up the ego. They do bring up where we have fears. And those are the fears that make us want to control things, own things, possess things. And that's where the intensity can come into the picture. So if you are open to detaching, if you can, the best you can, detach from what you, or the ego rather, wants and the mind wants, then that can give the space that can then help you balance this quite healthfully. So you can cultivate, again, these particular areas, maybe the spiritual development, maybe the routine, and maybe those communications and learning. All right. And within that, Mercury will be sextiling up to Saturn. So there is a bit of flow about the whole thing, at least in terms of where you have been hopefully working hard with your values, your inner and outer resources. That's been Saturn helping you take the long-term patient approach with all those things. And you can find perhaps a bit of flow with that this second half. And again, maybe bring in a bit of that discipline into your spiritual development, such as through meditation and stuff that does require discipline. And that's really the emphasis with the 6th and the 12th house. Spirituality, so to speak, and having peace in life does require a good routine, a good regimen. And that's what the full moon will help you see to a degree, or generally speaking. And vice versa. We do need to bring in this more receptive and accepting approach to life into the everyday experiences. Right? So that, I think, is a great focal point for this week, for you to focus on. All right, so that's the week in a nutshell. Definitely emphasizing this full moon, a time of culmination, a bit of support momentum for you to develop yourself spiritually, and also to manage things, your work, your routine, anything on that daily level. All right, so Libras, have a fantastic week. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you all next week.